So you want to know the best quick stretching routine. Well, today we are going to take you out on the gym floor and demonstrate the biggest bang for your buck stretches that you can do in under 5 minutes every day. All that and more coming up right after this. We are the gym that teaches people how to move instead of just exercise, because we believe that health is about performance, not just body image. Morning everyone, my name's Rad Burmeister, this is my brother Yanni Burmeister, and we are the co-founders of Unity Gym and the co-creators of the UMS, the Unified Movement System, where we teach you how to nourish and move instead of diet and exercise. And if you've been watching us for a while, you'll notice we have changed from the FMS. We are no longer the Foundation Movement System, and you can check out our episode yesterday if you want to know why. But today, we are going to talk about the best 5-minute stretching routine that you can do every day. And you know what? To be honest, it actually shouldn't be called the best stretching routine. It should be called the best mobility routine, because we're not going to be doing stretching, we're going to be doing mobility training. That's probably my mistake.
Yeah, it's all good. No, because stretching is more clickbaity, which is why you're watching it. So, the big difference between stretching and mobility is stretching is there's a lot of different ways you can stretch, but the idea is that you get into a position and you hold it, or you do contract, relax, but you're basically in a certain position for a prolonged period of time. Mobility is just where you're taking your body through its full range of motion. When you've only got 5 minutes, you don't really have time to do stretching. So we're going to do mobility, but it's going to be done in a way that it will make you more flexible.
And another thing that's really important is that we're back in black. Richie pointed that out. Good on you, Richie. That's why you paid the big bucks.
Yeah.
Look, guys. The thing is, with daily flexibility training, I'm going to encompass that on the macro level. It is obviously the best flexibility routine or flexibility training is going to be the training that you do as regularly as possible. And I know that a lot of people still struggle to fit this in. It's why we have such a thriving business, because we've got a system for this that develops strength and flexibility unified in a unified way. That's the word I'm looking for. And you know, the best routine for you is the routine that you're going to do every day. And so a lot of people ask us, I get a lot of questions, what is the one lower body, one upper body, best bang for your buck drills that you could do that would deliver a decent result every day? And that's really what we're going to double down on today. Now, Rad's going to demonstrate the lower extremity, because I'm wearing my trackies now. I've trained and showered and I'm nice and warm. It's winter here in Sydney, Australia. And these trackies have zero movement, so I can't demonstrate the lower, but Rad's coming back from a pretty bad slap tear in his shoulder, so he can't demonstrate all of the upper body stuff. So I'll do the upper body, he'll do the lower body, and we'll get this done for you. So when Richie is ready to get going, let's dive out on the gym floor and crack this sucker open. So I'm on the mic, I'm going to be talking, and what we're attempting to do here is get a whole body routine done in under 5 minutes. So we're not going to be doing anything that's not going to deliver a big result. We want big impact movements, and we want movements that do multiple joints at the same time, preferably, and we're going to double down on this. Now, I said this is the best routine. I mean that, and it's going to require you having access to something that you can hang from. It can be a solid tree branch, a banister, a railing, or something like that. But if you don't have something to hang from, the upper body component here, I'll show you another way that you can sort of do it, but it's not going to come anywhere near as beneficial as what we're going to do up here. Okay, so we got a timer.
Yeah, just wait, I'm going to say something first. The first thing that the best bang for your buck stretching routine starts with is high intensity interval cardio. I shouldn't say interval, because it's not an interval, high intensity cardio training. And the reason why, if you've only got a short amount of time, you want to elevate your heart rate as much as possible so that you increase the blood flow to the muscles. So you're going to see me do as many burpees as I can in a short amount of time as part of this 5 minutes.
Just do 3 movements so that there's a movement in there for everybody, so that if someone can't do a burpee.
Okay, so I'll do 3 different movements so you'll see 3 different variations of a cardio movement that you can do to get your heart rate up.
And now, very importantly, you want to do movements, cardio movements, that combine mobility drills. So doing a 60-second sprint on a spin bike is nowhere near as beneficial as what we're going to do right here, okay? The best thing about this is Rad's going to do it without any equipment too.
15 seconds.
15 seconds.
You can talk while I'm doing
Okay,
it.
so
Keep talking.
you just spin around and show the clock. We're starting at 9:13 is going to be, that's the legit real time. It's almost 9:15 here in Sydney. All right, so Rad's off. He's starting with burpees. If you can't do burpees, he's going to demonstrate a couple of other movements after this, but a burpee's a great movement. Now he's doing horizontal running. Both of these are working the hip flexors, really opening up his body. Now he's going to do air squats or jump squats. And again, it's using a lot of mobility. That's why the burpees and the air squats and things like that are really good. You could also do alternating split squats or something like that. Now he's gone down into what we call a squat routine, and we did a whole video on this the other day. So he's just externally rotating and pushing the hips out, loosening the hips. He's going to do both sides pretty quickly here. He's going to then start to open up both hips at the same time. Very nice. So obviously he's getting into the adductors and the groin. Now he's going to lean forward and start to sort of really open up the lower back and his groin muscles. He's also getting mobility in the ankles right now. He's getting mobility in his hips. He's getting mobility in his glutes. He's getting mobility in his lower back with these rotations all the way through his obliques and his trunk now. He's opening up, getting a really great spine rotation. Now he's going to go into hip mobility. So now he's getting the psoas, the quads, the toes. He's getting right through the lower abdominals. If he reaches back over his head, he's going to get his upper abdominals. Now he's really opening up. Now this is called a low bridge, a rotation to low bridge. Obviously not everybody can do that, but you work up to being able to do your own mobility drill. Now he's going to do 360 hip mobility. So he's now getting into the hamstrings and adductors, lower back, glutes, and he's going to rotate right through, bring that right through into his hip flexors, quads, trunk, core, and abs. He's going to lean back over and get it into his chest, all the way through, jumping from side to side. That's 2 minutes. We're 2 minutes down. Hamstrings, adductors, groin, hips, quads. Very nice. Reaching over, abs, chest. Very good. Hamstrings, hips, all the way through. So he's repeating this movement 3 times on each side. 2 times on each side. Very good. Okay, you got to tag me out. That's almost 3 minutes. Okay, now we're going to, he's doing spine. So we're doing spine integration and mobilization. These are called spinal waves. He's now doing spinal rotations, lateral. He's doing neck. Very good. Lower back, spinal rotations. You're going to do neck? Do neck. Finish with the neck. Do neck. Okay, I got 1.5 minutes left. So I'm going to start with a double arm hang. Now, if we have shoulder impingement or shoulder problems, we do it on an incline and we widen the grip. But for me, I'm okay just to do this as a body weight. And then I'm going to look up at the bar, just decompressing the spine. I can do a gentle rock forward and backward to open up my pecs and chest. Very good. Okay. Now I'm going to go on, we've got an elevated bar here, so I'm going to go on here and I'm going to do a single arm rotation to open up through the chest, biceps, lats. I'm leaning and making my body a bow like a banana to open up into the lats. Very nice. Then I'm going to go to the other side and repeat that process. So I corkscrew the arm, then I lean to the side to get into the lats and the QL in the lower back. I'm getting my forearms, my biceps, right through my trunk, my ribs, and we're done.
Now, for the wrists, we can just do a couple of circles on the wrists like this. So keeping the arms still, but circling the hands. Okay, and then you can do a few circles for the elbows, like this. A couple of closed kinetic chain circles for the arms.
And then just finish with some shoulder circles.
And
5,
shoulder circles.
4, 3, 2,
And show the clock routine.
and time. Spin around. There's the clock. So that's
5
a
minutes.
5-minute
Let's go into
routine that has done pretty much our entire body. And those are all big, big movements that give you very big bang for your buck. And here's the thing. If you do that every single day, it will have a profound impact on your posture, on your performance in the gym, on your ability to lift. You're decompressing the spine in those hanging drills. You're decompressing the shoulders. You're going to get an amazing, amazing benefit. And there are ways that you can deload. Obviously, putting the feet on the floor. If you've never hung like that before, or you've got shoulder problems, you can do it on an incline. So you're not, you can set yourself up on a bit of an incline like that, so you're not fully underneath the bar. You can widen the grip, so you're not going as narrow. The more narrow the grip, the more intense it's going to be on your shoulders and chest.
I just want to give a couple of shout outs. So, Ferrographic, I hope I've said your name right. Good morning. Thanks for tuning in. Lee Clemens, good morning to you too. And Quock, you're doing it. Hopefully, you've just. Damn that rotation to Rich. Yeah, man. It's taken, well, yeah, I've had a little bit of time up my sleeve practicing, so it's easier for me than other people. And I've even got an injury in my shoulder, and you can still do stuff like that when you know how to do it properly. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, brother. What I want to say quickly is, so you guys saw 5 minutes. I feel great. My whole body is warmed up, and that is an awesome mobility routine. But it does take some practice to be able to do it as efficiently as Yanni, Richard, and me can do it. And because we've been practicing the 18-minute stretching routine that we do for a long time, we can condense that into a small period of time. We have people tell us that when they do the 18-minute stretching routine, it takes them about 30 minutes to get through it. And that's totally fine, because when you're a beginner, you have to learn to feel it out. It's like anything, you know, an expert in any field is going to do something so easily that other
Just more
people make it look, you know, really difficult. So, but you can see that you can definitely do. I mean, every single joint in my body got warmed up there. Everything. My ankles got warmed up when I was doing all that 360 hip mobility and the squat. When I was doing the squat jumps and the burpees, that was also warming my ankle up because I was pushing it through plantar flexion. My knees got warmed up because they got taken through full flexion and full extension. My hips definitely got warmed up because I did all of that rotation in all of the different angles. My spine got warmed up, every single joint in my spine, because I did all these different spinal movements. Shoulders definitely got warmed up because we did the hanging and the shoulder circles. Elbows got warmed up. Elbows are the reason why we do those elbow circles. It's funny because the elbow joint is the joint in sporting and athletic activity that moves the fastest for the upper body. So if you throw a ball or hit with a bat or a tennis racket or whatever, it's the elbow that goes through the most explosive extension, the most acceleration and deceleration. So we like to mobilize them by doing something fast that mimics what you do in real life. So that's what those elbow circles are. And then of course at the end we did a little bit for the wrists and a few shoulder circles. So literally every joint in the body got hit there.
Yeah, and it's like Rad banged it on the head there with the fact that, you know, training, strength and flexibility is a skill and you need to train it, and part of that training process is adapting and making yourself more efficient at developing strength and flexibility. And that requires a little bit of self-exploration. You need to know what to experience, you know, and I read a really great study yesterday, again, for the probably 20th time. I've read it many times, but I was just recapping because I was writing some content for one of our new programs. And the way that the guy talked about it was, you know, people experience movement differently based on their mechanics. And you know, even something as fundamental and as finite as a squat, that is pretty uniform. You squat, you break at the knees, you break at the hips, and your body squats down. Can feel totally different from person to person based on the moment arm, which is relevant to the length of the bone structure in their body. They'll feel it. One person will feel it more in the quads, whereas the other person will feel it more in the lower back. Neither of them are doing it right or wrong. It's just that their body experiences the movement slightly differently.
Totally.
And so, Rad, what he said there about the fact that you watch us do that, and we can rip that out and really warm ourselves up in under 5 minutes. But you may not be able to get there just yet because you've got to practice a few of those moves and figure out what the experience is meant to be like and things like that. And that comes with a little bit of time and skin in the game. But
and on that as well, it comes from the idea, like one of the biggest mistakes that I made in my youth, and when I say my youth, I'm talking up until like the age of 30, maybe even mid-30s, was when I was taught something, if I didn't feel an virtually immediate change in my body, like if I didn't do it for a couple of weeks and start to feel that I was getting stronger or more flexible or whatever, I would often just leave it, and I've heard people so many times in the gym when we teach them how to do a stretch and they say, I can't feel it, I don't feel anything. And I look at them and say, well, you're nowhere near what the maximum level of flexibility would be for this. So there's room for improvement.
Yeah.
So the answer is not, I can't feel it, I may as well not do it. The answer is you need to spend more time doing it and try and feel it and figure it out. Because there's a point where listening and learning and reading and watching is what you need. You need to understand how to do something, and you've got to rewatch it and watch the technique and read about it and hear somebody teach it to you. But then there's a point where the only thing that's going to make you better is just practicing it. And sometimes you have to practice with blind faith that it is going to do something for you eventually, even though you're not feeling anything right now. Yeah. And I know that that's the biggest thing that happened to me that got me flexible, is that I finally made the decision about 4 or 5 years ago. I said, you know what, I'm going to do this stuff every day, no matter if I feel it or not. I'm just going to do it because all the great teachers that I've had have told me that this is what you have to do to get flexible. And there were periods of time for 6 months. I swear to God, for 6 months when I was working on the middle splits, not move an inch. And one day I was this far away from the middle splits, and for 6 months I was like that, and the next day I went and I was down. It was unbelievable. I just went, oh my God, look at this, I can do the splits,
Yeah, look, and there's another thing that we'll finish on, we'll wrap this up. You shared a really interesting story yesterday from a book that you're reading from Noah Juval, Sapiens, in regard to how our ancestors were so much more dexterous than we were, and they could do way more physically than we could. And the real reason for that is because people have just lost connection. We had this discussion, about losing connection with their body a little bit because they just don't practice it. Everything's put in the too hard basket or whatever else.
It's because we've become experts in one field. You if you choose to become an IT guy then or girl, then you go to uni or college or TAFE or whatever it is, and you study and you become an expert in IT, and then you go and get a job in IT, and there is no need for you to be able to get through your entire life. There is no need for you to be able to understand how to move your body and understand how to, function like that.
Yep.
That is, of course, unless you want to feel good and be healthy and everything. But to get through life, you don't need to. And so the average people in the Western world, in the modern world, were experts in these fields compared to our ancient ancestors. But we can do stuff all outside of those fields. And so if you talk about just in the movement approach, we made the decision years ago, because Yanni and I and Richard, we were experts in certain fields of movement, but we sucked at everything else. Like Yanni and Richard were expert weightlifters. I was an expert at martial arts. But we couldn't do anything else outside of that. And Yanni and I made the decision that we were going to create the Unify Movement System, which was a generalist approach where we brought together all of these different things: flexibility, strength, athleticism, calisthenic skills. And then we forced Richard to do it. And and so here we all are.
But that's the thing. And, you know, like you might be thinking, okay, well, why do I need to become a good mover, a better mover, or why do I need to regain my dexterity? Well, here's the thing. We've got a big problem. Humanity's got a big problem. And I was talking about this yesterday with the boys and with a few of my clients. We're going to live a lot longer than we have ever lived before. We already do, and it's getting more and more extended. It's you know, my kids, my 4-year-old's probably going to live to 140, and my 1-year-old may even live to 150. And that's, you might think that's pretty crazy, but one of the things that I do pride myself on is keeping up with the literature and what's happening in the world. And because of modern medicine and science, our lives are extending longer and longer and longer.
We're only about 20 years off before nanotechnology in medicine is a very real thing in wealthy countries like America, most of Europe, Australia. It will be a thing where you will have nanotechnology injected into you and it will cure your cancer.
And not just that, you know, robotics doing operations and all sorts of different things and keeping you alive. The reality is, guys, that we don't really know how this is going to pan out. We know, one thing we know is that your financial health is going to need to be a lot better than most people's is, because you're going to end up with no money at the end of your life. But the other thing is that your physical health is going to need to hold up, because, you know, we don't really, like, what kind of life is it going to be living these extra 20, 30, 40 years if you can't move around and you're not functional anymore? I know, for one, that that's a priority for me, and I'm going to be teaching, Rad and I and Richard will continue to teach our tribe to make sure that their physical health, and I'll do my best to give people financial health advice too. But you know, this is very, very important stuff, and that's the reason why you want to regain your dexterity, even if you are a specialist in IT or something that has you sitting in a chair and for long periods of the day.
We've got a great way of waffling on, don't we? Talking about the best 5-minute mobility routine, and we finish off talking about.
But that's why it's so good.
Dexterity and financial health and everything. Yeah. All right, guys, that's it for us today. We will see you tomorrow for the weekly wrap-up. It's going to be Friday in Sydney tomorrow. Hope you all have a wonderful day. Quack, I hope that you feel warmed up after joining in with us on that. And let us know how you go with those rotations to low bridge. They are no joke. Maybe we can do a video on how to progress towards a rotation to low bridge tomorrow.
And thank you to everyone for joining us live. And also in the description there is a free link to a flexibility blueprint. This will give you 7 really great insights into how we develop flexibility. And it will also bring you into our ecosystem so that I can spam you, because I do a daily blog based on the shows that we do, where I just share key points, and people love it. Most people.
See you later. Have a good day.
Health is about performance, not just body image.
You better be willing to accept what you're going to have to do to get there.
We'll start focusing on movement goals, strength goals, flexibility goals.
When you nail that skill, it's there forever.
The body image goal doesn't get you that far.
It's the consistency and frequency that's going to get you there. It's not the intensity.
There's no shortcuts to mastery and movement. Destination doesn't change overnight, but your direction will.
The gym is not the place to beat up the body that you hate. It's the place to build the body that you love.
We are the gym that teaches people how to move instead of just exercise, because we believe that health is about performance, not just body image.